Hey everybody, coming at you with a much longer version of my review of the movie Pressure that I saw. I did the minute reviews so people can get a quick in and out. You don't want to hear me jibber jabber. You just want to, should I see it? Should I not see it? I'll do these on this on my YouTube channel because there's just a lot to say, and I like to process the movies, and this just helps me talk through what I saw. And you obviously either get to benefit or be cursed by me talking about this movie. And it was so hard to fit everything I wanted to say about this movie into less than a minute. It's a lot going on. So, obviously, again, we're on our way to seeing 100 movies this year. Um, and here we are. I didn't necessarily have this at the top of any of my lists or on my radar. The marketing was, I didn't see a lot of marketing for this film, and I've seen a lot of movies and had seen like a few trailers of this here and there. I wasn't necessarily sold on it. I go in a kind of low expectations for a couple reasons. First of all, I didn't necessarily buy Brendan Fraser as Eisenhower. He just seems like taller and a bigger personality than clips I've seen of Eisenhower. Again, what do I know? But after seeing it, totally sold. Like I said, he did a phenomenal job blending into this character, playing a ton of emotion, like a huge range arc of emotion of what I would expect Eisenhower was going through as someone who's the commander in chief of the Allied forces and having to make these decisions, having seen what he had seen, and ultimately would lead him when in his presidency to fear the military industrial complex, right? Is he didn't want a slaughterhouse. And love's kind of a strong word for it, I guess, but I was moved, I guess we'll go with that, of how this movie started. With the failed practice operation of D-Day to kind of set up his motivations for the decision that he was being placed in. Like, right, real human decisions, real human consequences. Obviously, it's D-Day. We know D-Day is going to go off. We know it's going to happen because here we are. But that's kind of what I love about this movie, too. And I guess I felt the same way about Titanic. Like, when Titanic first came out, I'm not ashamed to tell you that I would see Titanic 10 times in 1997 and 98 because I just could not get enough of how cool of a feeling it was to know exactly the outcome of this historical event, but the movie still keeping you on a tightrope thread of, is this going to happen? You know it's going to happen. But the ability to suspend your own knowledge as a history teacher is a fun ride for me. And I think I felt that in this movie a lot was, here we are, high stakes, high egos clashing, and you're thinking, gosh, are they going to pull D-Day off? And I thought that was really well done about this movie. And Brendan Fraser, I should never doubt you. I've never doubted you before. I've obviously been a fan since School Ties, and I apologize for doubting you in the first place. It's definitely a movie that felt like a play, and I've really enjoyed those movies this year that have come from plays, and you can feel kind of that story arc happening, and it gives the actors a lot to chew on, which I think is great. And this cast, look at this cast, right? Andrew Scott, wow, just everybody doing such a great job putting consequences in each of these characters and fleshing them out into each of their motivations and how those motivations inevitably have to clash with each other. And then in order to get this thing done, this D-Day, putting aside chunks of your personality to find those points of compromise, right? Especially Chris Messina's character versus Andrew Scott's character as two English versus American meteorologists clashing over theories on weather and how to examine weather. Like I said in my 1 minute, American bravado versus British keep up the good fight, the stiff upper lip, and who's going to win in this prize fight of weather maps. And I thought that's so cool too, because, just like I'm a sucker for behind the scenes movies. So like Hidden Figures, we see this kind of unwritten side about what's happening in events like landing on the moon, how we don't think about the mathematicians. And I've talked about this before. One of my favorite things at the Guggenheim Museum is the typewriter that they wrote like the Treaty of Paris that ended the Vietnam War on, right? And it's kind of silly and my own thoughts. Maybe people are like, it's just a typewriter, but it's more than a typewriter. Like somebody created this typewriter to type up papers and documents, right? But this typewriter was the typewriter that was used to, I'm going to say end, but to put a exclamation point on this very violent part of our history, right? And the typewriter was a part of it. And so this behind the scenes, if nobody had created that typewriter, if that typewriter had been purchased, had not ended up there, what are they going to write on, right? So this behind the scenes diplomacy, this, it's like I love Bridge of Spies for this reason. Like the behind the scenes 13 days, it's that Hidden Figures. And in this case, it's weather and meteorology. It's kind of cool that it's not anything that we've gone over. World War II has obviously been going over and over and over and over, but this is about the weather maps. And it comes from that statement that Eisenhower made to Kennedy when Kennedy asked, how did we win D-Day? And he said, we had better meteorologists than the Germans. And so that one statement turns into this whole movie about looking at weather patterns and trusting your instincts and real human decision making, right? And what the stakes that Eisenhower is faced with, and very similar to what he's going to be faced with during the 50s in his presidency, as like the revolts start taking place in Eastern Europe, and he has to make decisions about committing troops or committing nuclear war, and how to keep the peace, and the escalating Cold War crisis and the Cuban crisis. And you see that playing out in Brendan Fraser's face, like this deep man carrying a heavy burden, right? And all the people, and how they care about their troops. I think that's a really amazing thing too. If you've seen this, the different ways, like how do you think about your troops in terms of the sacrifice they're about to make? Should you really drill into them the gravity of the situation, or should you let them have parties and live it up because this may be the last days of their lives, right? And this was so well done in that regard. It's just all the questions it asks. Obviously, Carrie Condon, who, my mind, when I think of like Banshees of Inisherin and F1, she's such a phenomenal actress, and she plays kind of this guiding conscience of the film, which is really cool too. And then you have someone like Damian Lewis playing General Montgomery, and the ego and of himself that carries over from if you've seen George C. Scott's Patton, right? And you just get it. You're like, yep, this is another portrayal of Montgomery that is on that point of what he was looking for in this war. So everybody's got their own agendas, right? You've got Bradley with an agenda. You've got Montgomery with an agenda. You've got Eisenhower with an agenda. And ultimately, if one thing goes wrong, it's the end of this entire process. What could have minutes away from ending D-Day, World War II, and allowing victory by, them. And wow, and it feeds nicely too into, if you watch like The Longest Day, you watch Saving Private Ryan, this is a nice feeder into that, because you're seeing all this kind of internal struggle inside you get behind the fences of this estate, and you're locked in, right? Even when he tries to escape from the shocking news that you'll see throughout the film, he can't escape. The fences are there, right? And then when the decision is made and the clouds lift and boom, we're thrown into D-Day, it throws you back in your seat. It was so well done. And again, my expectations on this, we've seen a lot of films recently, especially with 250th birthday this year, kind of like very propaganda-y. Great Awakening was a good example where people with an agenda in the films try and put their agenda into the film. And this really didn't carry an agenda. It was just a straight up history-telling tale about real people with real consequences, human emotion, human reaction, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat the entire time. Like, I was sold. It's so good. You should go see it if you haven't seen it. Pressure. Go and check it out. Like I said, Pressure stands for the movie, the weather, but also how we're kept in suspense throughout the thing. So definitely go see this movie.